Our cloud engineers are building a game streaming network to unlock console-quality gaming on any device. Not only that, we are dedicated to perfecting your experience everywhere you want to play, on your Xbox, your PC, or your phone. And of course, our hardware team, the same team that delivered unprecedented performance with Xbox One X, is deep into architecting the next Xbox consoles, where we will once again deliver on our commitment to set the benchmark for console gaming.
When Phil Spencer announced during this past E3 that the hardware team was deep in architecture of the next-gen Xbox consoles for next generation, and he said consoles in the plural, everybody started speculating about what that means. What is Microsoft's plan for next gen look like? And according to Throw.com and Brad Sims, we now know the plans of two systems, a traditional console and a cloud streaming box. There's a ton of information here I want to talk about, so strap it in and let's go. What's going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, man with a million, back again with another video. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And man, this is a lot of information here to digest, and I'm going to go over it and we're going to discuss it. Now, if you're like me, when Phil talked about on stage at E3 that they're working on multiple consoles, your mind started to think about what exactly it was going to be. Personally, I thought it was going to be a regular console and maybe a discless version of the Xbox, so they could kind of have a good price point to start out next gen. But clearly, that isn't going to be the case, as we are getting a traditional console as well as a cloud streaming stuff. So I'm going to take some quotes here from the article and we're going to discuss it. He goes on to say, first, Microsoft is building a traditional console that you would expect from the Xbox brand. I think it's important to point this out so those who prefer to have all their hardware locally will have an option with the next generation Xbox. And look, that's all I really need to know, because that's all I want from Xbox. I want a awesome box that I can play all my games locally, physically if I want to, digitally is what I prefer, but I don't want to stream. I've never been on the streaming thing, so the fact that Microsoft is still going to do a traditional console is a plus and should make everybody happy who wants, you know, all the hardcore fans out there who don't want to hop on streaming because it can be unreliable. So Microsoft is still building a traditional console for that, and who knows, maybe this will be the last Xbox console. Next gen, who knows how long that goes on for, maybe another 6 years. If it starts in 2020, you're looking at the end 2026. Maybe this is the last console, who knows, but the option's gonna be there. So don't get in my comments typing it up how Microsoft's given up on the hardcore and it's all cloud streaming. There is a dedicated console for you guys, for us, that's gonna play the games the best. Of course, the best, I guess you'd use in quotes depending on how the PC runs some of this stuff. But if you want a console and you want those games to run the best, then this console will be for you. But the big information about this article is the cloud streaming. He goes on to say, Scarlet Cloud, as one person called it, is the game streaming service that we have all envisioned ever since Microsoft showed off a demo game streaming at its all-employee meeting back in 2013, but this time Microsoft has a path to bring it to market. The second console that the company is working on is a lower-powered device that is currently planned to ship with the next generation device that is designed for game streaming. But the catch here is that Microsoft thinks it has figured out how to handle the latency sensitivity aspects of gaming. So 2020, when this all comes around, as he speculates that it's going to come out this gen, or in 2 years rather, you're going to have a choice as a consumer. You can either buy this brand new premium console, which he says in the article that the specs aren't known yet, as it's still early in development. More is actually known about this streaming device. So you can buy that presumably for say $400, $500, and then right next to it, sitting pretty, will be this Scarlet cloud game streaming device which you would imagine would have a much lower price tag, potentially $100, maybe $150. So the way I was kind of thinking about it is like, this could be kind of a brilliant move for Microsoft. You see, you have the traditional console out there for a good price, $400, $500, maybe even $500. Presumably, Sony's gonna come in with a $400 PS5. Of course, why wouldn't they? It worked out extremely well to their benefit for the PlayStation 4 this gen. If Microsoft can then afford to maybe be more powerful and offer a more expensive system than PlayStation, but also at the same time offer a lower entry to next gen than Sony, that could be a potential big win for Microsoft and a big win for the gaming industry in general. Because if you can offer a streaming device at a really cheap price, it could potentially bring in a whole batch of new customers like Fortnite did, like the kind of Battle Royale craze did, and that just kind of elevates the video game industry. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. Like, one of the reasons the PlayStation 4 took off this generation, when you think about all the mistakes that Microsoft made, was because the PlayStation 4 was the most powerful system and also had the price advantage. And now Microsoft is looking about how do we, take back next gen, as we've all heard Phil Spencer and the insiders say that the CEO is giving them the go-ahead to win next generation. Well, you have a console that is the most powerful, which would be this traditional one, and then you also have the cheapest option, and significantly cheaper, because this streaming device is probably going to be no more than $150. So that would be an attractive proposition for tons of people out there, especially when you have Xbox Game Pass and a whole bunch of other things. Now, I'm sure you guys want to know how exactly this cloud stuff is going to work. Well, he has it kind of all laid out here for you. It says the cloud console will have a limited amount of compute locally for specific tasks like controller input, image processing, and importantly, collision detection. The downside of this is that since more hardware is needed locally, it will raise the price of the streaming box, but it will cost significantly less than what we are accustomed to paying for a new generation console, which should help expand the platform's reach. He goes on to say that the portion of the game that runs locally, some have referred to as a slice or splice, means that the game is running in two locations at the same time and utilizes Microsoft's cloud to stitch it all together. The benefit here is that Microsoft's cloud platform reaches around the globe with data centers in every major market. This makes streaming the game's platform available globally, but this also likely means that it can run on any type of device. Of course, Microsoft would love you to buy their hardware, but the company's end goal is you can access Xbox from any device, anywhere, and Scarlet Cloud is looking to deliver on this idea. We all know Microsoft put together a cloud streaming division that is headed by Kareem Chowdhury. Their goal is to reach 2 billion gamers, potentially 4 billion gamers in a few years. That is like the target. And you're not gonna be able to reach those many gamers with just a games console. I'm sorry. We all love the traditional console, the PlayStations, the Switches, the Nintendos, the Xboxes, but you're not going to be able to reach that type of broad consumer base. What you do need is some sort of streaming device to be able to go alongside of it. So now you have a really cheap streaming box for people that really don't care to own a $500 system. And also Microsoft has talked about unlocking console quality streaming on your mobile device, on your PC. They are truly trying to broaden their reach, which it could work out for them in the long run. Maybe this is like a huge win for them and helps them get a foothold back into, being the front runner, or maybe not. Maybe it blows up in their face and this isn't exactly what something, that people don't necessarily want. Either way, the idea here is that people like me and other people I'm sure listen to this video have no desire to stream any games. We have the console, we have PC, we want everything right there because it runs the games the best. But not everybody's like us. There are people out there that are like, you know what, I don't really care. I want to save money. Clearly, that is a huge base of people. And if they can somehow mitigate the latency issue with the idea here of running the game on the streaming device, or at least doing some tests on the streaming device, and then also, you know, in the data center, that could potentially solve some of the latency issues, what Brad Sims is saying here in the article. That could actually work pretty well. Maybe that solves the whole issue. Maybe it doesn't. Of course, you know, if you have data caps, you know, with net neutrality being gone, maybe you don't have the speed or the limit to actually run these games. So of course the premium console will be your choice. Who knows what the future holds, but clearly Microsoft is envisioning a future where they're giving you options, because that's what Microsoft is all about at the end of the day. You have your Xbox exclusives on the Xbox and PC, you know, via Xbox Play Anywhere, and they don't really care what system you played on. They don't care if you buy it for the Xbox, and they don't care if you buy it for the PC, and that's something that people honestly need to get over. And here you have a situation where they're going to come out with next gen, and they're going to give you a balls to the wall premium system, but at the same time they're going to give a really cheap cloud streaming system to the people who don't really care about that. And then you're going to have everything on the PC, potentially everything streaming to the phone, potentially everything being forward compatible, so Xbox Scarlet games might be streamable or playable on Xbox One X. Microsoft is all about just giving consumer the choice of where you want to play the games, wherever you're at. And is that a viable strategy? I think so, but will it work for them? Maybe, maybe not. Sony seems to be, you know, with the PlayStation, very much so. If you want to play PlayStation games, there's really one place to play it, and that's on the PlayStation 5. Even though they have the PlayStation Now, that has like 650 games, that's only really available on the PC and the PlayStation 4. But who knows what Sony's going to be doing and what their plans are for next generation. Maybe they have an idea of cloud streaming. Maybe they want to bring up PlayStation Now as a viable competitor. I mean, who really knows? But the idea here is that it's all about giving the consumer choice. And honestly, I'm happy with this. As long as I get my dedicated Xbox console that runs the games the best they possibly can on a console, then I don't care that Microsoft is also going to be offering a streaming device to people that, you know, don't really care about the graphics of the game or if it's lagging or whatever, because, you know, people are just, they see that price tag and they're going to see $100. And the games are going to look potentially just as good as next-gen games or on the regular console because it's just streaming from the cloud. And that could be a huge selling point to the next Xbox. Now, if you're worried about like, oh, some games only be playable on the console versus some games only playable on the cloud streaming device, don't worry about it. He goes on to say, when it comes to games, all Scarlet games will run on all Scarlet devices, meaning both consoles will be first-class citizens, and there is not expected to be an awkward, this game only runs on the non-cloud Scarlet. Now this had to be done, because for this to actually be a thing, and for people to actually want to buy a cloud streaming device, all the games gotta be playable on it. You gotta have your Call of Duties, you gotta have your Fortnites, gotta have your Battlefields, you gotta have your Maddens and FIFAs. There can't be a holdout. So it seems that Microsoft is like understands that and realizes that there isn't going to be an issue where this game only runs on the premium console and not on the streaming thing. Unfortunately, like the downside of this is, does this require extra work from a developer? Are they going to have to somehow finagle not only the regular console version, but also somehow do some work on this cloud version as well? And would that impact development and stuff like that? I don't know. That's something that like kind of just came to my mind. Like, does this change things for developers? Are they going to be actually having to do two different things here, potentially? Either way, they need to have all the games streamable. Like, there cannot be a holdout. If Activision's like, we're not down with this and Call of Duty's not going to be on there, that kind of hurts the potential of the device. If FIFA's not on there, that hurts the potential of the device. So all Scarlet games will run on all Scarlet devices is a good thing. I'm just kind of curious to see if developers are kind of happy with that approach, and maybe they are. Maybe developers realize that, you know, cloud streaming is a way to get more people into their games, and if they have to do this, then they have to do this. I don't know. He goes on to say, the cloud version of Scarlet is further along in development cycle than the traditional console that will also be released in 2020. The device does make me wonder if this is any relationship to Xbox Hobart streaming device that was near released 2 years ago but canceled late in the developmental cycle. So here we go. He's basically saying the consoles are coming in 2020. And remember I did that video about Michael Pachter, and Michael Pachter is so sure that Xbox is going to get out way ahead of PlayStation 5. Well, I mean, PlayStation has to know that Xbox is coming out in 2020. Do they jump to 2019 at this point and get out before Xbox? I mean, I don't know. I think they both know. I think PlayStation and Xbox both know when they're both launching. I don't think it's really any secret. I think, honestly, if I had to make an educated guess, I would imagine both consoles launch in 2020. I guess there's some possibility the PlayStation 5's launches in 2019, but I think 2020 is the starting point for next gen. And it's going to be an interesting one. Does the PlayStation 5 remain a traditional console where it's just a beefed up, way beefed up PlayStation 4 with back compat to the PlayStation 4 versus an Xbox 2 that is like more powerful than the PlayStation 5, but you have Xbox coming in with potentially the price victory here, offering a cheap $100 streaming device. Man, the next gen battle is just about to start heating up, and so I know Sony's got the games. They got the exclusive games. They got the Horizon Zero Dawn 2 going to be a next-gen launch title. You have God of War 2 eventually. Presumably maybe a Bloodborne 2. Whatever they're making at that like new studio that sounds like is making a new Uncharted game. Sony's going to be gearing up for next-gen, and they're going to use the exclusives as, you know, a reason to get the system. I mean, Microsoft knows content is important, and they recently went out and bought 4 studios and are building a 5th, so they know that exclusives matter, and they want to be able to compete with that. See, everything they're doing now is all with the eyes towards next gen. You're going to have a brand new Fable, you're going to have a new game from Ninja Theory, more Forza Horizon, a brand new AAA game from The Initiative. Hopefully all these games are great, and it's going to be nice to see Microsoft and Sony battle it out. Because when these companies battle it out, we as consumers win. I love it. We're going to get the best from Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and we're going to benefit from it. So I can't wait to see what next generation holds. I can't wait to find out more information about what the traditional console is going to be like, what its specs are going to be, as well as more information about the streaming device. I want to see it in action. I want to see what the latency issue is. Like, does it actually feel like you're streaming it, or does it actually feel like you're playing on a traditional console? Does this expand Microsoft's market? There's so many questions here, so many different scenarios at play, that it's all just kind of, you know, it's nice to speculate, but I'm kind of happy because, you know what, next gen is going to be, it's almost here, and it sounds like it's going to be a battle. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a battle. Microsoft seemed to like roll over a little bit this generation. You know, they stopped making games, they stopped investing, but man, they are really gearing up to go toe-to-toe with Sony. And yeah, they might lose. They probably will lose, but it's nice to see them starting to put on the boxing gloves and step into the ring. It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. Anyways, guys, that is the video for today. Let me know about what you all think about this cloud streaming stuff. Are you excited for it? Would you rather get a basic, you know, new console? And then even you think about it like this, how many people out there, and I know I have a lot of PlayStation fans that listen to my videos, but when the generation starts coming to a close, there are some games that people want to play. For instance, for Forza Horizon 4, I've seen some PlayStation guys say, I want to check that game out, but I'm not going to buy an Xbox just to play that game. And I don't really have a good enough PC. But I've already seen people say, you know what? For a cloud streaming device, if I can get this cloud streaming device for $100, maybe $80, play it, and since I'm not playing multiplayer on it or anything like that, and just play the Xbox games via this cloud streaming device, maybe it's a good companion device to PlayStation 5 owners. So, you know, someone who really wants and has that PlayStation 5 as their primary device. Think about that for a second. Like, I know everybody likes to say they have a really bomb-ass PC and can play the Xbox games on it, at like a really high frame rate and a really high resolution. But of course, most of those people are just lying. They're just saying that because they don't want to spend $400 on an Xbox One X or $200 on an Xbox One S. But what if you could get a PlayStation at launch for all your regular gaming needs, all the exclusives, you know, all the multi-plats, but then Xbox actually starts releasing some really good exclusives and you want to play those, but you don't have a really good PC? Hey, dropping $80 on a streaming stick might be the answer. You don't really got to pay for Xbox Live, presumably, because you're not playing multiplayer. And it's just like, I want to play the new Ninja Theory game, I want to play Fable, I want to play Forza, the Gears looks cool, Halo looks great. That might be a really cheap option that appeals to owners of other consoles. I didn't even really think about that until the end of this video. So that opens up a different kind of subsection of gamers to check it out. Either way, it's all kind of speculation for now. We have to actually see how well this stuff performs, and it has to work. And now that's going to be the end of the video. So let me know what you think about all this stuff. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Hit that notification bell if you always want to be notified when I drop new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Share this out on social media. That would greatly appreciate it. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. And I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.